Hi, I'm Dr. Brian Thornburg, and I had a great meeting with a mom yesterday during a well child check. She has 3 children. What I have observed over the last approximately 11 years as she's been in my practice is a wonderful evolution that highlights the steps that we go through as a parent. Just like a child goes through infancy and then toddler, child, adolescence, and then to an adult, the same thing happens to us as parents. We just don't get it right the first time. There's a learning curve. So in a similar way, we have our own parenting infancy to childhood to adolescence and then to adulthood in our parenting. And this mom does know that I'm using her as an example. We spoke yesterday on the phone and I told her I was doing this. It was funny. She said, I had a feeling that after our well child check with my 3rd child that you were going to make a video about this. So she had a sense because it was such a great conversation. And the reason it was great, so I'm going to hit it right here to the end point, is that the mom showed vulnerability because a vulnerability needs to occur in order for the parenting to move into the next kind of developmental step of parenting and to kind of mature into themselves. And that's what she did. Her first child joined the practice after she was born. She was about 3 or 4 years old. And I was always impressed watching this mom with her first child because the mom really honored that child where that child was developmentally. The mom loved the child. You could see that thoroughly, but then also pushed her in a very healthy way that coincided, the pushing coincided with the child's development. And the child was just self-confident, would turn to mom when she needed something, was engaged in her community, had friends, was doing well in school. So it was really a refreshing way to see a parent right off the bat own her space as a parent, allowing the child to own their own space. The second child came and there was a 180 in the child rearing. Now, I didn't see the first child when she was a baby, but with the second child, there was a complete 180. And I don't mean this in a bad way, but it was more of a mom now would stay up at night and nurse the baby past 2 months old when the circadian rhythm starts to develop. This continued until the child was well past 1. And we would speak at the World Child Checks about how are you doing as a mom, staying up late, waking up, nursing the baby, and then managing another child who is moving into childhood and also keeping a healthy relationship with herself and with her husband. And she was able to do it. She said, this is all a gift. I'm happy to expend myself on the day and the night schedule for the well-being of my baby, and I don't want my baby to cry. And she was managing it all. And we would have conversations about parenting is about getting our child ready for adulthood, and we're moving through different stages and different chapters, and we want to honor the child at each step. And as long as the parent could give sleeplessness as a gift without it taking from her in terms of her not performing the best for her other children or for her health or for the marriage, then it's a pure gift, and that's wonderful. With this 3rd child that came, which is the child that I had yesterday during the well child check, that baby is 12 months old, and mom again is up at night and nursing the baby, except this time it's a little bit different. The first time she had 4 or 5-year-old when the second baby came, and a 4 or 5-year-old, if you have a child that age, they're starting to do things independently. You're starting to come out of the tunnel of having to parent and constantly watch. And so now we have a child that's starting to become a little bit more independent and understanding logically how the world's put together. And then that second child came. So there was some independence on the first child, which helped her give the gift of nursing through the night with the second child. Now we have 2 children, one who's a toddler, one who's an older child, and then we have this baby. And this baby is now 12 months old. Mom is doing the same. I'm going to nurse the baby through the night, and it's a gift, except you could start to see cracks. Mom was stressed out, and you could see it in just kind of the heaviness that was on her. Again, during all the well child checks, we would have conversations about our point as parents is to move children through the ages and stages and to allow them the honor of matching their developmental stage with how we're parenting them. But mom was, I want to give this as a gift. I can stay up at night. But you could see it was wearing on her. And so here at the 12-month well child check, she said, I really have to have this baby start to sleep through the night. You could see that it was really wearing on her. And this was that moving into the next parenting step, because here she was acknowledging, I can't be everything for all of my children. The beauty of it was after having the mom in the practice for many, many, many years, she said to me towards the end of the practice, this was a great reminder for me as a practitioner that the last thing a parent says or a patient says as they're walking out the door is probably the real reason that they wanted to come in. And they just had to feel safe enough in order to say it. We were finishing up the appointment. She said, I think I have postpartum depression. The lack of sleep, the trying to be an uber mom, trying to manage her own life, married life with 3 children, trying to be a member of the community, and trying to be this uber mom and doing everything as a gift. And it was collapsing because at some point the system collapses when you try to do more than you can as a single human do. I called her yesterday and I just said, I think this is wonderful that you were vulnerable and you were able to open up. She said to me, I had a feeling that you were going to make a video about this. So the roundup on this whole story is, as a practitioner, I have to keep a safe, non-judgmental space for parents. And I will do what I'm supposed to do, which is spend an hour with parents during physicals. So we have a lot of discussions conversations about various aspects of childhood. But my favorite area is counseling and parenting, because if we can solve generational wellness, then we're going to help raise healthier children, because as a parent, we receive good and bad from our mom and dads. And then if we don't acknowledge it, like this mom has just done, that I can't do everything. And then she's now looking back of, why did I do so much? Because it was taken from me. So mom is learning to hold a very healthy boundary for her. And when she holds a healthy boundary for her, her kids will see that. And then they're going to be raised in a healthy environment where there's healthy boundaries. And so it started to open the door for that next evolution of parenting of, let's really be honest about what we're doing and what our goal is here, which is we're raising children through ages and stages. There will be times when we parent where we give too much or we don't give enough. And that's a learning opportunity both for us so we can heal generational trauma. And we should do this openly in front of our kids so they can see that it's okay to be vulnerable and to acknowledge where we may have, with good intentions, done something that turned out to be a little too much in terms of giving for ourselves or expecting from other people to give more than they can give. And then we can start to create healthy boundaries so we can move forward. And I told the mom that she's already talking to therapists, but I said, I would help arrange a medicine for her just to help start the process of healing while we get a good roadmap for how to work with kids in her family and how to place herself in a healthy place inside of the family so she doesn't feel that she's giving so much of herself that she can't take care of herself and her family. And you could start to see it. I feel blessed that people feel comfortable, that they would be able to communicate. That's the position we should put ourselves in as providers. But then that's only half of the equation, because the parent has to rise to the occasion as well. The child has to raise to the occasion once they're old enough to understand that they're participatory in their movement towards adulthood as well. It was a beautiful day, and it showed the story arc of what we do as parents. We want to give, give, give. That seems to be love, but sometimes giving moves from nurturing to devouring, because at some point when we give beyond what we can handle, we actually aren't giving anymore. We're taking from them because we're feeling that we have to do something because something from our past hasn't worked out well for us. Now we're overcompensating, but we're blind to how we are overcompensating. My hat's off to this mom. I love this part of pediatrics. I love this part of realizing this in my own parenting. And that's the beauty of being a pediatrician, and as a parent, understanding that we're just in a cycle of generational movements of raising kids. And we really need to focus on what's in the best interest of a child over a generation, not just what's serving our needs, because we've been traumatized from our past and we're just trying to heal ourselves without paying attention that the effects of this is on a child. Thanks.